Adultery was the most common ground. If a wife was found unfaithful, her husband could bring her before the court and seek separation. In some cases, the guilty party was whipped or forced to bear the public shame of punishment before being released from the marriage. Desertion was another frequent reason. Life on the colonial frontier was harsh, and it was not uncommon for husbands or occasionally wives to vanish, leaving families behind. After a set period of abandonment, the deserted spouse could petition for legal dissolution. Cruelty also appeared in court records. Women sometimes described beatings, threats, or husbands who withheld food and clothing. Though patriarchal courts were often hesitant to side against men, there are cases where abused wives were granted freedom. These moments reveal a surprising flexibility in a society otherwise rigid about gender roles. Yet every divorce carried heavy social stigma, branding families with whispers of failure and shame. More common than legal divorce was informal separation. Some couples simply drifted apart, especially in less regulated frontier settlements. A man might leave for trade or war and never return. A woman might move to a new town and remarry without official approval. These situations often created messy disputes over inheritance, property, and legitimacy of children. Even when courts granted divorce, remarriage came with suspicion. Divorced individuals lived under the shadow of scandal, and their new unions were watched closely for signs of impropriety. Ministers warned that broken marriages weakened the community's covenant with God. To end one's marriage was to test the very moral foundations of colonial life. Still, the existence of divorce and desertion cases reveals something important. Despite the heavy sermons and strict laws, colonial marriage was as fragile as any human relationship. It could fracture under pressure, exposing the gap between the Puritan ideal of lifelong unity and the complicated realities of life in the New World. Colonial America was a world where privacy was almost non-existent. In small towns, everyone knew their neighbor's business. And when the scandal erupted, it spread like wildfire. Sexual misbehavior, whether premarital pregnancy, adultery, or prostitution, wasn't just a private failing. It was treated as a crime against the entire community. Public shame became the weapon of choice to keep people in line. Punishments were designed not only to correct behavior, but also to humiliate. Offenders might be forced to stand on the public scaffold, whipped before a crowd, or paraded through town with signs declaring their sin. Branding was used for serious crimes, burning letters into the skin and adultery, for example. The purpose was clear: mark the sinner so that their shame could never fully disappear. In some cases, women were forced to wear specific garments or colors, a living reminder of their disgrace. Even minor infractions could trigger scandal. Couples caught kissing in public, young people discovered in suspicious company, or men accused of lewd speech, all faced court hearings and fines. Gossip amplified these events, turning individual missteps into communal entertainment. In fact, scandal became a kind of social theater, reinforcing moral expectations through spectacle. To watch someone punished was to be reminded of the consequences of straying. The reach of shame extended beyond the guilty. Families carried the burden of association, their reputations damaged by the actions of one member. A daughter caught in premarital pregnancy might ruin her siblings' marriage prospects. A husband accused of adultery might cast suspicion on his entire household. In this way, scandal bound everyone together. Each person's morality was believed to affect the community's covenant with God. Yet, there was also a darker side: hypocrisy. While poor or vulnerable people bore the brunt of public punishments, wealthier colonists often found ways to protect themselves. A man of status might escape with a fine, while a servant girl endured lashes.